Hi everyone, welcome back. I'm Michael Sandler, your host on Inspire Nation. If you've ever wanted a better understanding of what in the world to eat or not to eat, then do we have the Food Sanity Show for you. Today I'll be talking with Dr. David Friedman, a #1 best-selling author with a million best-selling audiobook, America's Unbalanced Diet, and the author of a fascinating new must-read on eating, Food Sanity. And that's just what I want to talk with him about today, about myth-busting and misconceptions, and how to choose what to eat in a world of fads and fiction. That, plus we'll talk about Lulu the pig, sea buckthorn berries, Otzi the Iceman, vitamins and septic tanks, the wonders of wheatgrass, 15 pounds and popcorn, what on earth are obesogens, and what in the world redfish and salmo fans have to do with anything. So welcome to the show, David. Are you ready to shine?
I'm ready. I'm on fire, ready for it.
Woohoo! All right, before we dive right into things, and we're going to jump all around the place today, and I guess I should admit for everybody out there, I have a bias. I'm a sometimes confused vegan versus vegetarian, but I have my plant-based bias. We'll talk about that later in the show. But before we dive into that, can you tell us about a severe stomachache you had at 22?
Yeah, what happened is I had a severe stomach ache and went to get checked. They said it was appendicitis, and he said the doctor says, "Do you eat a lot of red meat?" And I thought, why would he ask me that? Of all the things he could ask, I said, "Yeah, I eat quite a bit of it, 3-4 times a week." He said, "Well, you've got to stop that." I said, "Why?" He says, "Hard to digest. It ends up getting clogged, and it's get harder for the body to digest." And anyway, so I went, got my surgery, and then continued to get better. And I says, "Hey, let's go get a steak." And I said, "Wait a minute." He got me a little scared. It's like, why would he ask me? He didn't ask me if I eat chicken or fish or vegetables or anything else. He was really strict about to eat a lot of red meat. So I started researching and found out that if the body was not designed to digest it properly, is there other things? And that's what really got me involved with looking at all the things. What is our body designed to digest?
So how did you get interested in studying medicine? And then we're going to go into what in the world the body was meant to digest.
Yeah, what happened is I had a herniated disc, and I grew up in a family of medical doctors. My dad, his dad, his dad. So obviously I was destined to become a medical doctor, and hurt my back. My mom said, "Hey, let's try chiropractic." I said, "No, they lean in towards surgery." She says, "Yeah, let's go try chiropractic. Natural. What do you got to lose?" So 3 weeks later, with his hands, I was fixed. My dad was blown away. He said, "Son, you got to explore chiropractic school. This is amazing." So I went into chiropractic school, started learning about helping the body, and then I wrote a book on neurology, ended up getting a degree in neurology, wrote a book on neurology. And when I was teaching a student one day, she had a question. She says, "You tell us that the brain and the spinal cord control the body and all the organs. What controls the brain and the spinal cord?" And it was an interesting question, and it didn't take me long to answer. I said, "Food. Food creates the essence of who we are. It controls our deepest being of our brain and spinal cord." So I realized there's another level that I wanted to take it at. So I really started looking at nutrition and food. And when I got in practice, so I've got a degree in natural medicine and chiropractic. And then when I got out into practice, I would do everything in my power to help patients. They weren't getting better. And give an example, one lady was having sciatica, and I said, "Listen, I've worked on you for 4 weeks. I can't help you. I'm good at this. I don't know what, I've done everything. When does it bother you?" She says, "Always at night. It wakes me up." I said, "What are you doing right before you go to bed?" She says, "I drink a big glass of milk to help me sleep." I go, "Wait a minute. You drink milk? That creates inflammation. That could be your problem. Stop drinking milk before bed." 3 days later, her leg pain stopped. I could have worked on her for 6 months and done everything in my power. The power is in food. And that's when I started learning more and more things that can either help or hinder the body, because food is medicine.
So thank you. And so let's go from there and let's talk about what we're meant to eat, because when we talk about protein and eating meat and getting strong, I look to the gorilla and you look to the chimp.
Yeah, you can look at both of them, because if you look at the gorilla, pretty strong bones, right? When
Oh
you say they have
yeah.
strong bones. Now, they don't drink milk. We always been told we need milk for strong bones. And my point is, all right, so they don't need it. What about taking it a step further? The elephant, clearly the strongest boned animal on the planet. How do they get strong bones? They don't drink milk. They get it from plants. So do gorillas. So do chimps. And that's where you start debunking this. We need milk for calcium, which was created to make money for the dairy industry. It's absolutely not true. Now, there is calcium in milk, but before it goes to your glass, it's pasteurized. I mean, it's heated, and that's great because it destroys the bacteria, but it also burns off a lot of the calcium, makes it insoluble. So people say, well, what if I drank unpasteurized milk? Well, still, that wouldn't build strong bones because you have to have enough magnesium for the calcium to get into the bones. And research shows you need a 50-50 ratio. Milk has a 90% calcium, 10% magnesium ratio, not enough to build bones. So where do you get the 50-50 ratio? From plants, the same place that the gorilla and the chimp and the elephant have. In fact, you can get all the calcium and magnesium you need from spinach, from almond, from sesame seeds, from squash. There's just so many. So forget the calcium need. And then if you look at protein, what about milk and protein? You need protein. I said, no, the protein in milk's called casein. Casein, what did God create casein for? For baby cows to make them turn into a gigantic 2,000-pound cow, from a calf to a cow. It fattens them up. Why would we think when we drink it, we're not going to fatten up and inflame?
One of the strange things about casein, and then I want to dive more into the chimp here, and we'll double back around to milk, is as a former card carrying, I don't know what I am at this point, vegan, vegetarian. It's a plant based something in there. If you went and you have what would we call it? Vegan or vegetarian cheese, I'll put that in quotes, on your pizza, on your things. They actually put casein, I can't pronounce it like you can, the casein protein in there, in the vegan / vegetarian. And I'm going, what in the world? How am I? That's the exact thing that the body doesn't want.
Exactly. Yeah, that's why you've really got to play detective. You can't always just trust labels at face value. And, the old days, and, we talk about, eat like a caveman or eat like a gorilla, which is the vegetarian or the vegan. I say eat like our great grandparents. That's when they didn't have to read labels. They ate healthier. They ate clean. They didn't have these chemicals in their containers. They didn't have the antibiotics and the growth hormones. Monsanto wasn't around back then. There was no pesticides. So it was so much cleaner. That's the key. Eat like your great grandparents. And you know what else I tell them? I get patients blaming their DNA on why they can't lose weight or why they're sick. And I say, listen, you can't blame your genes on why you can't fit into your genes. And the reason is in the early 1900s, late 1800s, 3% were overweight. Today it's 70%. So you can't blame your great-great-grandma unless she fell in that small 3%, then go ahead and blame her. If you can show me a picture of your great-great-grandma, she was overweight, go ahead and blame her. Hey, but you can't because they ate cleaner. They didn't have the obesity or even the overweight problem. If you look at those old pictures, you've seen them from the 1800s, and nobody's smiling. I don't know why nobody's smiling, but you see a grandparent, a grandma, and a kid, and the whole family. I challenge you to find one person that's overweight. It's very difficult. Now, fast forward to today, I challenge you to look at a family portrait and find somebody who's not overweight. So you can't blame your genetics. You've got to really focus on being a detective, play detective, look at labels and see what these things are that are creating sickness and our weight problem.
So if we are a detective, one of the big things, one of the big fads, movements, whatever we want to call it today, is paleo, is we were meant to eat like caveman. We were meant to eat like a Homo sapien chimp. And I'm stacking the deck on this one.
Right. Yeah, it's funny because, the paleo, I like some of what they say to eat pure, eat clean. They're good about reading labels and stay away from dairy, which is great. But it's like, all right, so stay away from dairy, the stuff that comes from a cow, but eat a cow. That's kind of lost me there. But anyway, they really say eat like our cavemen did. That's how we should eat. So I said, all right, let me dig in. And in Food Sanity, boy, you saw it. I dug in. I went into forensic evidence to see what exactly our cavemen ate. And the big shocker for me was, they picture, the movies and the cartoons, these giant cavemen that carried the carcass over one shoulder and then the big club over the other. Well, that may be how they portray them in the movies. But as far as from the truth, cavemen were actually 5 feet tall and they weighed 171 pounds. That's clinically obese. Let's call them what they are, oompas. And if you handed an oompa a sword or a knife and said, go hunt a blind tiger and bear, oh my, go for it, do you think he had the speed, the endurance, and the agility to catch a wild lion or tiger or mammoth? No. I show in my book how cavemen were the hunted, not the hunters. That's why they carried weapons. Now, would they eat meat and animals, yes, but if it was only thing left, it was a last resort, because if you look at convenience, it's their hands, right, for picking, and it wasn't life-threatening. If they go out and they were to try to hunt, there was a life-threatening. Hey, I'd rather stay here. Let's get those berries. I don't want to go fight that lion. Now, if they did catch a lion, which was tough, if they did, it's good for 5 hours before it would go rotten because they didn't have refrigeration. So they would go through all that trouble to get one meal, or stock berries, fruits, legumes, grains that could last days or weeks. See, common sense. So, the paleo diet has it wrong. If you look at forensic and evidence, they were primarily plant-based eaters. That's proven from their teeth, bones, hair analysis. It's amazing how we got it wrong. They're saying, oh, it's all about the beef.
So, and you go back, you look at forensic evidence, Otzi the Iceman.
Yes, and that was one example. And they check the hairs, because remember, your hair can show what you've eaten for 6 months. So if there's any intact mummified hairs, there's your diet, which I thought was kind of interesting. And it showed it's primarily plant-based. And again, they immediately see, oh, he had a weapon. So he was out hunting. They assume he's out hunting. Well, then they found that he was actually stabbed. He died of a stab, which proves my point that he had weapons for self-defense. Because remember, other cavemen would attack cavemen. So they had self-defense, or maybe a lion would go after a caveman to eat the caveman, and they had to protect themselves. Now, if they did win and go, wow, I just beat the tar out of that lion, I'm going to eat him. Probably, if they didn't have fruits and vegetables.
There's when we talk about things being, whether it's cultural, whether it's inside of ourselves or genetic, the idea of being grossed out by things. We're usually grossed out by things to keep us safe, to keep us from doing something that's going to get us really sick. If we were really 100% meat eaters, like you said in the book, wouldn't we be like ravenous if we saw an animal torn apart or killed or something? And instead we tend to be grossed out. We want it cleaned up in the butcher.
Exactly. If there's an animal that just died on the side of the road, a carnivore's mouth waters, he's excited. If we see it, we go, oh, gross, and we drive around it. So you're right. It's not something that we're inherently excited about, is actually hearing an animal scream in murderous pain. Well, carnivores love it. That's music to their ears. That means they're winning the battle. They love that. That's actually entices them to bite more. But really, it goes beyond that. It goes to our biology. We just don't have the teeth to digest the meat. We've got chimpanzee teeth, and they were designed by what? They're designed to eat fruits and vegetables. If there's nothing left and the chimpanzee has no food remaining, their diet is 5 to 10% small animals, but it's 90% plant-based. So it's kind of the same thing if it's not around. So if Fred Flintstone were alive today, he would be at the all-you-can-eat salad buffet and not at Western Sizzler by choice.
It makes me think of the Tarahumara of Mexico, this ancient tribe that still exists today, a running tribe, a running people that is almost all, from what I understand, primarily plant-based, but with the occasional mouse or something that they get. It's very, very little that they actually find. And they live incredibly long and healthy lives without a lot of the diseases we have today.
That's true. And I research cultures around the world that live to be over 100. We're talking about 110, 115, some over 120, hiking and skiing and swimming and still having sex over 100 without the blue pills. I mean, who doesn't want that? That's like the epitome of health, that you can be active in sex over 100. And I research what's their diet like, and primarily plant-based, very little bit of animal protein, very little red meat. And if they do animal, it's fish, chicken, eggs, very little red meat. So it's kind of like, that's what I live. I live by a flexitarian diet, which is vegetarian with the word flexible, kind of combined. So I think that the paleo diet has it reversed. They're 80-20, 80% animal and 20% plant-based. Switch that, because that's what studies show people live the longest and maintain their weight if they can do the flexitarian.
And some of the things the paleo do right are the non-processed and looking at what the food sources are and the organic. And we're going to dive into all that. So they are doing definitely some stuff right. So going back to where we started with milk, and I'm picturing the mustache now, is that doing the body good?
Yeah, milk does a body bad. It's public enemy number one. And I'll tell you what, when a patient comes in with sinus problems and allergies or asthma or a skin condition, I always say, do you drink milk? And they always say yes. If they come in with spasms all the time, I say, hey, do you drink milk? And they go, yeah, it's supposed to. It's good for me. When I tell them the science behind it and the common sense, and they get off of it, they get better. I'm telling you, ear infections clear up in a few days. Asthma, sinus. This one lady has this rare lung condition. I mean, it's always, she comes always, and she's been under this doctor. And I says, it's an obvious question. Do you drink milk? Yes, 2-3 times a day. And I mean, when I told her to get out, she couldn't believe it. It's like telling her oxygen is dangerous because she believed it was so healthy. And I said, what do you got to lose? You're going to doctor. You can hardly breathe. You got this toxic lung. She got off milk. 1 week later, she came in with a tear in her eye saying, I can breathe. She wasn't wheezing. I can breathe. She says, all this time I've been poisoning myself. So, and we don't need cow's milk. We got almond milk. It's delicious. Cashew milk and hemp milk. There's so many milks. You can make cereal. You can bake with it. You don't need cow's milk.
What's the science behind cow's milk? I had a coach, 15, 16 years of age. I called him the crazy coach, but one thing he did was got me off of milk because he says milk causes inflammation and causes the pus in your body and the phlegm in your lungs.
Yeah. Casein, which we talked about, okay, is basically the same stuff that's used to make glue. Think of Elmer's glue, the cow logo on Elmer's glue. There's a reason for it. Now, when we swallow this glue-like substance, our body attacks it as if it's glue. It creates histamines, inflammation, which leads to anything with itis after it. Sinusitis, bronchitis, psoriatic arthritis, you name it, itis, arthritis. If it has an itis, that means inflammation, and casein creates inflammation. And there's actually science behind it showing that, they have laboratory studies showing that even cancer cells grow when it's exposed to casein. So not the best stuff. And we just don't need it. We're here in our mind that we've grown up as a kid that we need it for strong bones and we need to grow to big up and be healthy. It's money. Follow the money. Dairy is a big, big business.
So let's talk about some of the other challenges with dairy. So we've got casein, but we've also got hormones, and I was fascinated by, was it Puerto Rico, and I'm going to get the name of that wrong, the hormone that they banned here, then they dumped it in Puerto Rico and was happening to the girls.
Yeah, what's happening
is that right? DES?
Yeah, what happens is when something's absolutely proven to cause ailment or disease, and they fight it and fight it and fight it, and pretty soon it's like, well, we're busted. What are we going to do with it? Hey, let's ship it to Mexico. There's no laws there. Or let's ship it overseas. And that's what they're doing. And it's sad because this is how a lot of these multi-billion-dollar companies are continuing the process. The same thing for water content. Where I'm in Wilmington, we've been poisoned by DuPont, and they've dumped. It's called Gen X. It's a toxic poison, and there's people getting autoimmune disease and cancer. It's awful. We rank one of the highest in the nation now for autoimmune because DuPont. But you know what? They took a derivative of their old called C8. It was another chemical. They altered it a little bit and say, hey, it's not C8 anymore. Let's dump this in the river, call it Gen X. So it's a way to just kind of find a way to continue making money by altering it or shifting like a shell game. So you really got to play detective. And it's sad because, my book's on food, but water's killing us too. You got to be real careful about this tap water that you drink. You can't be trusting that it's cleaned and that it's pure.
So you're talking osmosis. What are you talking? What would you recommend? We double filtrate. We're a little bit on the extreme side, but love it.
Yeah, I had mine actually done. It was a week ago. So this is the results of my water. So this is actually 12 chemicals. These are carcinogens. These are cancer. It's just got naphthalene. It's got not just Gen X. That's the one that we're worried the most about. But you know what? It's got PFOAs, perfluorooctanoic acid. That's a carcinogen. That's actually an obesogen. It's an autoimmune response. I mean, the list goes on and on and on. This stuff shouldn't be in the water, folks. Oh, but this is a limit. It's a little below the limit allowed. Limit allowed? Where is a study saying that if somebody drinks 1 glass a day, this is okay, but if they drink 12, 15 glasses a day, it's not going to kill them? Where's that study? Show me the limit allowed. How do you know what each home is drinking if it's a limit allowed? So to answer your question, reverse osmosis is the only thing that's going to help get this stuff out. You just have to. And what I do is I do a 5-step process. That's what I like because I'm playing it safe. I don't really like the UV. They have a UV version because it breaks down a lot and it'll overheat, and it can actually overheat the casings and cause them to break. You don't really need to go that far. Plus, you have to have electricity, and it's a rewiring. It's a lot of work. So if you go with just a 5-step reverse osmosis system is the best way. And people say, but we're not getting our minerals. We need minerals in water. Can I ask you a question? Do you want to drink this cancerous chemicals and get some minerals in water, or not get any and get minerals from food where we need to get it from? I choose the food.
Yeah, I couldn't agree with you more. Okay, going back to milk for just a little bit. We've got hormones which have been shown now to cause girls to get their cycle beginning ridiculously early. We've got antibiotics. What are the antibiotics doing?
Here's the interesting thing. So with antibiotics, and people don't realize this because growth hormone's not used in chicken, but they use antibiotics. And you're thinking, well, that's to fight the bacteria. No, it helps chickens grow. Antibiotics help make them fatter. When we have antibiotics in our body, whether it be from milk or be from chicken, when we ingest antibiotics, it makes us fatter. It destroys our microbiomes. It actually wreaks havoc, creates leaky gut. It decreases our ability to break down and digest food. And one of the biggest reasons of obesity, which we're talking about, is the obesogens, and that's one of them. It's these antibiotics. You got to stay away from them. They're not good. You know, it's funny because when you get an antibiotic, they say 10 days and stop, right? Because if you go beyond 10, it starts to kill off your good body, the good cells. If you're eating beef and chicken and milk every day, you're consuming antibiotics daily beyond your 10 days. And we'll go a step further. What does the word antibiotic mean? Anti means against, biotic means life.
Yeah.
The word antibiotic means death, anti-life, and that's the goal. It's destroying everything in your body, but for such a short time that the hopes is it's just destroying the bad. That's why you can't stay on it for so long. It'll destroy your gut.
So, and the last thing we'll go on with milk today is skim milk. Isn't skim milk better for you?
Skim milk's actually worse because what's happening is they're skimming the fat, and that makes more casein. So you're actually, if you had to pick two, go with regular milk before skim. Skim's worse for you. And people, like you said, they go, oh, skim, I'm fine. I'll go with that. Or, you know, it's lactate free. Oh, that's fine. It still has the casein in it, and actually more so with the skim milk.
But don't I need the milk for my bones?
Yeah, and that's what I mentioned. You just don't need the milk for your bones, and when you tell somebody that, they'll kind of look at you weird. It's like, you know, calcium. The milk actually makes bones brittle. Science shows that the more people that drink milk in different cultures have more brittle bones. So it's opposite. I don't know about you, but to me that's like brushing teeth with cavity-causing syrup and thinking it's toothpaste and it's helping your teeth. When you're drinking milk that's causing brittle bones because you're drinking it to make your bones strong, something's wrong with this picture.
I don't know. Do we go there with fluoride or do we not even go there, David?
Exactly. But you know, you get my point. It's kind of like you're brushing your teeth with something that's causing cavities. You wouldn't do that with Aunt Jemima syrup. You sure wouldn't drink milk if you think it's helping your bones get stronger when it's making them weaker.
Yep. So, okay, let's go from there and let's go to beef because we really want to get strong. So don't we need all the animal protein we can get our hands on?
Yeah, it's interesting. Science shows that we don't need beef for a healthy diet. I mean, you know, if you look at the athletes that are vegan, they're healthy. You can look at some of the boxers and they make it. Look at you. So you don't need it for good health. And here's the issue. When you're dealing with beef, there's no doubt that the more beef you eat, the more likely you are to get colon cancer, which is the second leading killer of cancers. Now, Harvard, Johns Hopkins, Mayo Clinic, Cleveland Clinic, you name it, the World Health Organization, the Cancer Society, everybody's in agreement. The more red meat you eat, the more likely you are to get colon cancer. But we didn't know why until recently. About 4 years ago, they discovered a molecule called NEU5GC. And this molecule, yes, it's in high abundance in cows. We don't have it in our body. When we eat it, our body creates an autoimmune and it attacks it. And what happens is that can lead to colon cancer. So once upon a time, they knew cigarettes caused lung cancer. They didn't know why. And then science said, oh, it's something called nicotine. Well, we didn't know why beef is linked to colon cancer. Now we know. It's called NEU5GC. And I'll take it a step further. We have a molecule in our body, in our blood vessels, called NEU5AC, which is one atom different than the molecule in cows. When we eat that molecule from cows, our body doesn't know the difference and attacks it, and also attacks the lining of our arteries. Wow. That's linking it to what? Heart disease, cardiovascular disease, which we've also known has been high predominance in people that eat beef. So it's definitely not. Now, chicken doesn't have this molecule. Fish doesn't have it. Fruits and vegetables don't have it. But that one molecule in beef, you want to be careful.
So it's interesting. So you talk about your mom saying you are what you eat. And what's really fascinating about this, if you think about what you want to become, in your case, maybe not a squishy Pop-Tart, but do we really want to become a 2,000-pound lethargic, slow-moving? It doesn't match. If we're going to eat meat at all, shouldn't it be something that matches a little bit more biomimicry, a little bit more of the energy that we want and what we want to be?
Yeah, I mean, it's a good point. Is you've got to pretty much eat diversity, eat a rainbow, fruits and vegetables. And it's so funny how people, they've been brainwashed to think eating bacon for breakfast and a hamburger at lunch and then a steak at dinner is healthy. And you'll lose weight. Oh, I'm losing weight. I look great. And as you saw the story in there, I have a story about Atkins diet. Literally almost killed one of my patients. And it's funny how these keto bands, it's like everyone keto, that's a repackaged Atkins diet. And so many of these keto experts praising it, if you backtracked 15 years ago, they were saying the Atkins diet is the worst thing you can go on. It's funny how now they're praising the keto. So, I don't think that we just need to bombard with all this beef and animal. If they're still with us in 10, 15 years of going on the keto diet, then prove me wrong. I don't think they're going to be here.
So it's true, the long-term science isn't there yet. It's also fascinating that these high-protein diets, what you said is what's going on initially because people feel better, they're lighter, they're slimmer, their pants fit better. You say they're actually not realizing what they're doing is dehydrating, and to check them out in a couple months.
Yeah, a lot of people say, "Oh, look at my belt; it's getting looser. I'm losing weight. And something to anorexics. Is that healthy? Hey, look at me. I just vomited. It doesn't mean you're healthy because you're losing weight. You've got to be healthy. You can do it in the right way. I think it's same with the calories. I've been counting calories. That's called the yo-yo diet because your body has this famine release. It makes you gain more weight. I say don't count calories. Make your calories count. Eat the right foods, and you don't have to worry about being a mathematician. We made it too hard to eat well and mix this with that. And this is just, if you eat clean, I've never seen anybody get overweight because they had too much broccoli. I don't care how much calories is in a bowl of broccoli. I don't care if they eat 50 bowls of it. They're not going to get overweight.
On the other hand, you and I both have had a penchant for popcorn, which we've said popcorn. How can you possibly gain weight on popcorn?
Yeah, popcorn is one of the white foods. In the weight loss, I recommend the no white diet. If it's white, keep it out of sight. And that means one is the corn. One would be sugar and salt and flour. Of course, just the white process, not the good versions, which we can cover. But popcorn is in there. It's part of the corn. And, people say, do I have a guilty pleasure? And it was popcorn. I ate it every single day when I would come home. That was my noshing and a stressful day. Yeah. I would eat a bowl of it every single day. Of course, it was still USDA organic, and I didn't pour this fattening butter and all kinds of stuff on it. But I couldn't lose. I had about 15 pounds. I wasn't overweight. I was just husky. And one day I says, something, corn could be an issue. Even though it's healthy popcorn, I got off of it completely. I lost the 15 pounds. It was like 6 weeks. Now, did I give up popcorn? No, I love it. It's still my guilty pleasure. I just don't do it every day. I do it occasional. Maybe I'll do it 3-4 times a month now, and instead of every day. So it's something that's simple. That's all I did to lose the weight. Just got off that little white food. If it's white, keep it out of sight, and you'll lose weight.
Excellent. So we're going to jump in a minute to all things veggie. Before we do that, for those people who do like to eat meat, and I'm open. I don't claim to know the answer on anything. I don't judge on anything, and I like a flexitarian. I like what you're saying here in a sense. With that said, you say chicken is better than beef, but I've got to go to chicken McNuggets.
If you can call that chicken, because if you saw in the book, it's actually very little chicken. It's a Frankenstein nugget. It's created. It's a concoction that's not chicken. So again, you're dealing with the processed type of food. You're dealing with the fast food. And I don't know whoever snuck the word S in fast food was a genius, because it should be fat food, because they bombard it with all this stuff that makes people overweight. So the key is, when you're talking chicken, USDA certified organic, you want to stay away from the antibiotics. You want to stay away from the chlorine baths that they give. You want to have USDA certified organic. Now, that doesn't mean USDA process verified. That's a sneaky little way to make you think that it's been certified. Don't fall for it. Has to be certified or don't believe it. Voted best chicken. Doesn't make any difference. It could be Aunt Susie that voted it the best chicken. So they play with you with the label. You want to see that certification. Then you know you're not popping those antibiotics in your body.
Talking about certification, the one I go back and forth with, although from would it be a humanitarian, animalitarian way, I like to stay away from all animal products, but the one Jessica sneaks into my diet on occasion is eggs. And I say, if it's gonna be eggs, it's gotta be the most expensive egg you can possibly find with the richest, orangest, darkest color yolk.
Yeah, interesting about the egg is, for decades they said stay away from eggs because they cause high cholesterol. And you remember that? Then they said,
Oh,
oh,
yeah.
no, it's just the yellow. So they had egg white. Remember all the restaurants, egg white
I was an
omelets,
egg beater
white?
guy.
Yeah, egg white, white. And then science says, well, wait a minute. The yellow contains lecithin and choline, which actually lowers cholesterol. It's okay now. Now the whole egg's okay. And actually, that is true because it does have the cholesterol, but it actually buffers it. So you're not getting high cholesterol from eggs. And there's been studies. I mean, there was a 14-year study by Harvard to see if there's any increase in cholesterol from eggs. None. So that was totally a myth. So it's okay to eat eggs. Now you want to find the right kind. And like you said, you want to go with USDA certified organic, pasture raised, get it as close to nature as possible. You don't want them confined in a cage because what are they eating? Their own feces. They're getting pecked. They're getting injuries, and they're having to get antibiotics. So you want the most closest to nature as possible, and you obviously, most of us can't have a backyard with chickens. So you want to find somebody who does.
Yeah, that makes sense. So let's go from there and let's talk really, really briefly about fish. And my huge bias here, because we've had ocean experts on, is we're running out of fish. There's NASA study 2038, there's other studies 2050. We're going to be out of fish. So with that said, with my bias there, why is fish a superfood?
You want to know why it's a superfood or why it's become the redheaded stepchild of food?
Oh, gosh. Yeah, go with that one. That's more fun.
Yeah, it's funny because I love fish and I always felt guilty eating fish because it's like pollution, and then I thought about the mercury. Every expert I've ever learned from, hey, cut back on, watch out for fish. It's healthy, and so I really researched. I said, I want to find where the studies are, and I researched it. I want to find these people that had all this mercury toxicity from eating fish, and I couldn't find them. The opposite happened. People that eat fish cultures 3 times a day, we're talking tuna, were the epitome of good health. They didn't have mercury toxicity. I said, all right, well, let's do a step further because we all have heard, if you're pregnant, watch out for the mercury of the fish. I said, all right, well, where are these studies? Hey, if it's bad, I mean, they do contain mercury. Is it bad? I couldn't find it. I found cultures that eat the most fish that have mercury have children with the highest IQs than those that didn't eat fish. So I got to thinking, well, wait a minute, let me back up a second. Mercury is not something we want, but then I found that if there's selenium in the fish, it cancels out the mercury, kind of like we just talked about eggs. If there's lecithin and choline, it cancels out the cholesterol. In fish, if there's more selenium than mercury, it cancels out the negative effect of the mercury. It protects the brain. It protects the cells. It protects you from cancer. Selenium's powerful. So in my book, I have 18 of the most commonly eaten fish.
Yeah.
All of them have more selenium than mercury, except for one. It's called the mako shark. So folks, play it safe. If you're at a restaurant and you see mako shark on the meal, don't eat it. But the other wild-caught fish are not to be a worry about. Now, where did this come from? Why are they the redheaded stepchild? There's no money in fish. Wild-caught fish have no antibiotics, no sulfur drugs, no dyes, no growth hormones, nothing. There's no money to be made. It's from wild-caught to the restaurant. The money is in cattle. The money is in chicken. The number one customer for big pharma, number one for antibiotics, is farm animals, and top on the list, cattle. It's 85% of all antibiotics sold to a customer known as the cow. It's the biggest customer. So they're going to say, well, wait a minute. We don't want people eating fish. Let's put the FDA warn people, oh, mercury warning. But I say, well, wait a minute. Where's the mercury warning on our fillings? Why doesn't the FDA warn that? Or mushrooms. That's loaded with mercury. High fructose corn syrup, mercury. Where are all the warnings on this? There's money in high fructose corn syrup. They don't want you to know that it's got mercury. Let's blame the fish. So I feel better eating fish that I did the research, and nobody's talking about this. It's like, oh, fish are bad. And then when you talk about pollution, that's another one. The ocean's 7 miles deep. To give you an idea how deep that is, if you're on the airplane as high as it'll go and you look down, that's an idea of how deep the ocean is. The land is 30%. The water around the globe is 70%. Chemists will tell you the law of dilution, it's impossible for that 30% land. If we wanted to pollute the ocean waters, we couldn't. And then it goes a step further. You remember the BP? Did you read the BP Gulf spill?
Oh, God,
That
yes.
section. Oh, wow. You remember when the BP oil spill happened and they said fish are going to be gone, out of existence. Shrimp are going to be gone. Millions of people out of jobs. The boats would be out of work. And they predicted it would go all the way to North Carolina. And that's where I am. I'm like, oh, God, I'm not going to be able to have fish. It's like, this is awful. And then they said that it's going to be 100 years before we'll be able to eat fish. I still have the article. 100 years they predicted before we can eat fish in the Gulf. Guess what? Where have you heard about this anymore? We're eating it. Everything's fine. Nobody lost their jobs. The fish didn't die. The birds didn't die. Here's why. They went to clean up the oil, and scientists found a lot of it was missing. And they said, where did the oil go? And they researched it. They actually analyzed the water, and there's little tiny microorganisms in the water we didn't even know existed that act like Pac-Man, cleaning up the pollution. Nature takes care of itself. The ocean is a wonderful, wonderful self-healing entity. I'm more worried about the pollution on land. It's like, what are you worried about pollution in water? But you'll eat the stuff where pollution takes place on the land. You're okay eating plants. You're not worried about the pollution. You're okay eating cows and chicken and eggs, and you're not worried about the pollution. But they're worried about the pollution in the water. Redheaded stepchild.
So let's go from there. Let's talk about a few things that were covered in this chapter. They're fascinating to me. First off, I didn't know about thimerosal.
Yeah, thimerosal, again, is another form of the mercury that's not seemed to be on the radar of the FDA. It's like, oh, we're not going to warn them about that. But yeah, thimerosal, when you're dealing with vaccinations and you're dealing with, it used to be in eye drops. I think they've removed that. But, it's in a lot of different products out there. Thimerosal is something that just didn't get the bad rap, but it's loaded with the mercury. But remember, there's money in thimerosal. There's not money in fish. So let's blame the big mercury scare on fish, not thimerosal.
Tell me about farm fish.
Yeah, farm fish, remember I said the word wild fish is the good way to go. Farm fish is different. Farm fish is actually antibiotics. They're fed soy. They're fed corn. That's not natural. And when you're getting soy and you're getting corn, you're also going to get the pesticides that was on that because they're not giving them USDA certified grain. They're going to throw anything they can. So you remember the saying, you are what you eat? Mm-hmm. You are what your meat eats is another way of saying it. So whatever your meat eats, your fish, your chicken, you really want to know what they're eating. And in farm raised, it's not wild. And the big problem is the most commonly farm raised fish is salmon. And salmon that's farm raised is gray. It's gray because they don't eat krill. Krill is how they naturally in nature turn orange. So they're actually gray. So these people come in with paint pellets and say, what color do you want your fish? And they pick the paint like you Benjamin Moore. What color do you want this wall?
The
what color do you want? Yeah. So they pick these pellets and they dye it. So you're actually dying. So a way to give you the solution, if you want to eat salmon, salmon's the most strongest fish. It's a professional swimmer. It swims upstream. How many professional swimmers that are humans do you know have any fat on them? They're very lean. Swimmers are lean. Salmon are professional swimmers. They should be lean. There should not be any fat. So if you see a piece of salmon with white striations of fat, it's farm raised. I don't care what the label says. Labels are misleading. Consumer Reports says 52% of all labels are misleading. They lie. So use your eyes. It's got to be a nice, deep, dark, beautiful, deep, dark color. And you don't want salmon. The picture behind you, that's a wild caught salmon. You're right there. I'm looking at it. So you don't see those white striations.
There we go. So go from there to fish in a bottle. I'm looking forward to krill oil, but first we got to get through fish in a bottle. And how do we tell if it's rancid too?
Yeah, interesting. I had Dr. Barry Sears on the show, and he's the pioneer of omega fatty acids and fish oils. And it was interesting because I said, tell me about it. Can you get fish oil everywhere? He goes, no. He said, fish oil, 90% of it's rancid and rotten before it gets to your stomach. And I found out that it's sitting out for 9 months and it can oxidize. It's fish oil. Who wants that out in the oxygen? And of course, he recommends the pharmaceutical grade fish oil. And I say, well, wait a minute. Why don't we just go with what the fish eat? Where do they get their omega? From krill. And that's what we just talked about, salmon. That's a really good fish for omega fatty acid. But you know what? Why not go to the source? Why would you want oil from that fish? Who wants that? Go with the krill. It's stable. It doesn't rot. It doesn't putrefy. Barry Sears called it what do you call it? Something from the sewage from the sea. That was the name he used. Sewage from the sea.
For the fish oil. So we've got krill oil, beneficial. And then another thing that I hadn't heard of, and I'm not actually familiar with omega-7s, sea buckthorn berries.
Yeah, that's a real good source, especially if you're a vegetarian vegan, because you're thinking, well, I don't want krill oil. That's an animal. I don't want to do fish oil. So sea buckthorn is a good option for them because it's strictly plant-based. So that would be something that's really good. That's got some really good omegas in there as well.
Excellent. So now let's talk about a plant-based diet. And that sounds like something that you have primarily, certainly I do as well. Talk to us, what's fascinating to me is how genetically similar we are to plants.
Yeah, it's really interesting. And that was kind of, how pretty much, people say, oh, well, we're similar to the chimpanzee and the ape. But really, if you look at the plant and how it's designed and how the cellular level is like, wow, we're kind of cellular level. Even the chlorophyll is very similar to our blood. And the chlorophyll is what gives the green pigment of plants. And chlorophyll is very similar to our blood. And it's, if you look at it under a microscope, it's very identical. And that's been used in transfusions for blood. So chlorophyll is very, very healing. And in fact, if you look at the deep, dark green leafies, they're the most healthy because they have the highest chlorophyll.
We have chlorophyll that just arrived via UPS as I was reading your book this morning to give Jessica a boost, as I'm told she has to put 60% more, grow 60% more blood volume for baby. We went to chlorophyll.
Oh, phenomenal. And what's interesting is if you have bad breath, nothing will beat that better than chlorophyll. And that's where they got the name Chlorets. The gum, chlorophyll used to have chlorophyll in it because chlorophyll actually is great for gum and teeth and mouth. So it's phenomenal. Yeah, I'm a big fan of that, especially with wheatgrass, loaded with chlorophyll. It's one of my favorites.
Yeah, why is it your favorite? Is it the chlorophyll? Or are there other things about wheatgrass? Why do you like it so much?
Oh, it's got over 100 nutrients that are in there. And what's so funny is you get the paleo people saying, oh, you got to have grass-fed beef and you got to have grass-fed. I said, well, let's skip the middleman. Let's just go with the grass. If grass is so good that everybody's saying we need grass-fed beef, you are what your meat eats. Let's just go with the grass. And you know what? And of course you don't want to eat it, you want to juice it. So you want to do wheatgrass juice, and I do a shot of it in my carrot juice. I'm telling you, it's amazing in 20 minutes how great you feel. Your body, your mind, your spirit just opens up. It's a level that I experienced in California because in North Carolina they didn't have wheatgrass. I was visiting there. It was in I think 91, and I saw wheatgrass. I go, what's that? And they go, oh, you got to try it. And I did a shot plain, and I did this shot, and I don't know if you've ever done a shot of Jägermeister, but this was better. This was a natural. I drank that, and it was like, wow, you can actually just feel the cells opening. And I was hooked, and I came back to North Carolina. I says to this health food store, you got to carry it. It's great. And so she carried it, and nobody was interested because in North Carolina, we were behind the times. Now we have it at every health food store. So fast forward to today, it's popular. But back in the early 90s, I couldn't get it in town. Nobody would carry it.
That's funny. I remember back 2013, I'm on book tour. I'm driving this little Eco Sprinter RV van, and I'm growing wheatgrass in the RV as I'm traveling across the country on book tour. Needed my wheatgrass. Do you know by chance, and this might be outside of your scope, don't worry if you don't, wheatgrass and pregnancy?
Yeah, wheatgrass and pregnant would be great because you're dealing with the blood. Remember, you've got to nourish the placenta. That's where the blood is. So having the chlorophyll and the wheatgrass would be great for that. Would definitely not be contraindicated.
So excellent. Let's talk about some. Well, there are all these myths about eating fruits and vegetables, particularly fruits. I was off of fruits for years as I was trying to stay low on the glycemic index to kick a pre-diabetic condition I had for many years. Now I've got fruits back in, and I'm finding fruits are absolutely amazing. Maybe you can tell us about Harvey Diamond and the Fit for Life Morning Challenge.
Yeah, first I'm gonna tell you about the fruits. I'm getting a lot of experts on my show as well saying, "Oh, stay off fruit. It has fructose and it causes diabetes and obesity." And it's like, wait a minute, we're not supposed to eat fruits. These beautiful things that our hands were designed to pick and enjoy, and they're visually appealing, so we are attracted. All that's off limit. Yes, all of it's off limits, and it's beyond me how they can say that because they let's look at the glycemic index. Okay, for example. They say fruits are bad. Well, what's the highest fructose is blueberries. We're talking 50, it's like 15 grams of sugar per cup. That's a lot. But you know something?
But
Eating blueberries drops your chance of getting diabetes by 23%. It protects you from getting diabetes. How's that possible? Because it's got the skins, it's got the fiber that buffer out. See, God created this great meat. Eggs are buffered out with the cholesterol, and then and fish with the mercury because it has selenium. And then you've got fruits that have the pectin and the fiber that buffer out the sugar. It's like nature takes care of itself. You don't have to worry about it. Apples are high in fructose. One of the best things, and studies show that an apple a day, that's at least five a week, decreases your risk of getting diabetes by 30% from an apple, but it's loaded with sugar. Now, if you peel that apple and you make apple juice, that's different. That will spike your blood sugar. So when you juice it, that's different. You want that created pulp and rind of that to help protect you as well. So yeah, and with Harvey, he made the challenge to just do fruits in the morning and nothing else. Just fruits. And I did that for about 10 days. And wow, what a difference. The bags under my eyes disappeared. I slept better. I felt better. But I still love my morning organic oatmeal with blueberries. I like my occasional eggs. So I haven't fully adopted it. But I did do the challenge. And it's amazing. Just doing fruits in the morning, not throughout the day. Don't mix it with anything else. Really makes a difference.
And we have these amazing fruit-based green smoothies loaded with berries in the morning. So we'll have wild blueberries, organic regular blueberries. We'll have raspberries and strawberries. Then we'll throw spirulina and stuff in there. And you just feel alive after you have that. As long as I make a good tasting one. I've been recently taking out some of the sweetness to allow for a veggie-based prenatal powder in there. Oh, they're awful. Tell us about eating all the colors of the rainbow. Something I first heard from Deepak like 20 years ago and I thought was brilliant.
Yeah, we're finding with science that diversity is the key. It's like an apple a day, only an apple a day. Not the best thing because an apple is limited to what it offers, that blueberries have more proanthocyanidins, which is the antioxidant. And then you might have a banana that has more potassium. So you want to actually get a rainbow of different colors to bring all of the minerals and nutrients. Plus, we've found that when we do the same old, that our gut microbiomes don't function as well as when we offer diversity. So diversity is the key, bringing more different varieties of the rainbow. And in my book, I actually show what all the different colors of the rainbow mean and what they offer. So it's so important. They all have a different health benefit.
And you have an awesome chart. I think it's like table 7.1, page 143, showing all of the different fruits and all of their benefits that they have to it, which I absolutely love. Let's go from there. Oh, and with Jessica being pregnant, we're counting. How many different nutrients can we get in a day? Okay, carrot counts for one, an onion counts for one, garlic. And can we get up to 40 different things? Can we get even more than that in a day? How much diversity? Because that builds the baby. That builds us as well.
It builds. And then one thing we didn't touch on is make sure that, especially when somebody's pregnant, to stay away from chemicals, because I get so many people that are eating great and they're storing these great fruits and vegetables or even chicken in a plastic container that has BPA. And that's so bad when you're pregnant. You do not want to be exposed to BPA, which is the plastic. And then it goes beyond just plastics, as I talk about.
Yeah, what about cans that say BPA free? Because my guess is, and I still use some of them, my guess is there's a lot more chemicals that haven't been villainized yet that are in there that we want to stay away from.
Yeah, if you can, stay away from cans. I'm not a big can person, but if it's that, you're best to go for BPA free. But like if somebody's doing tuna, you're better going off with the pouch. And that way, they're so now with pouches where you don't have to worry about it. Then you have to worry about the BPA. But it's beyond just plastic containers and pots and pans, which is dangerous because you're cooking on these chemicals they get in there. And it's sad that people cook. Yeah, it was basically PFOAs. It's called perfluorooctanoic acid, which is a mouthful. but it's a mouthful if you're eating on these nonstick cookwares, and it's linked to obesity and cancer. But I want to share one that people don't realize. With the BPA, it's on your receipt that you get handed at the grocery store.
Wow.
Don't touch it. Ask the lady to please put it in the bag. It's called free BPA. It actually gets in your system worse than the plastic because it's immediately on your fingers. Touch your eyes, touch your money, touch your food. You're getting it right into your system. ATM machines, airline tickets, cinema tickets, loaded with these chemicals. And if somebody's pregnant, it's an estrogen. You don't want your hormones being irregulated by touching these things.
I'm so glad you mentioned estrogen because my wife started a 369 oil a couple days ago. A veggie place 369 oil to give her flaxseed and give her all these good oils, which we are also putting the whole thing in the smoothie. And I'm not a vitamin guy. I want the whole thing. Give me the whole as best as you can. But I looked down the list and I couldn't believe it was in there. Soy lecithin.
Oh, yeah. That's funny. And I devote a lot about soy in my book. It was a big money maker. You know, soy was originally patented by Henry Ford. It was an ingredient that was used to make his cars. It was called the Soymobile. It was actually it's an industrial product. It was so then they had all this left over. They said let's feed it to the pigs, and then the pigs didn't do well, and it said let's find a way to get it to the human race. So it's really left over, and it's not good for you. It creates estrogen for men. It creates man boobs. It creates infertility, creates small penis. It's estrogen. You don't want this. Now, is all soy bad? No, the Asians have it done the right way. They'd use fermented soy because then it gets rid of these phytochemicals that fight us, that are toxic to America. We don't have the patience in America. It's all about the money. They want to process it, make it in soy and bread and soy burgers and soy this. In Asia, they don't eat soy. It's a condiment. It's just a side. In America, we eat it, we drink it. It's in our ice cream. It's in our supplements. We're consuming it. It's not one of the best things to eat.
So let's go from soy and staying away from soy to sea vegetables. And do you have any favorites?
Yeah, I'm a big sea vegetable fan. In fact, I have a product called Choose for Health, and we have 4 of the best sea vegetables in there that's chewable, and it's an organic product because I've been sworn by sea vegetables. Here's why sea vegetables are so powerful, okay? Our body's salt water, the same consistency as an ocean water. So we're really ocean beings. So when we take nutrients from the sea and put it in our body, that's in seaweed, our body recognizes the minerals and we absorb it, we use it. When you take minerals from dirt and rocks and synthetic labs and put it in our body, it's not what we're made out of. When we cry, our tears are salty. In fact, if I took the water out of your body and put it into an aquarium, it would sustain sea life. We are literally aquariums in our body. So sea vegetables really harness our body's healing powers, our ability to heal and cleanse. It's amazing. And of course, you've heard of seaweed wraps for detox. Well, that's great, but it detoxes when we eat it as well.
So I lived in Maui for several years, and there everybody was nervous. Understandably, it was just after Fukushima, of seaweed, where it comes from, and radiation. What can you tell us about that?
Yeah, really interesting is, you know how we talked about those little Pac-Men that protect the sea? Seaweed has a natural ability to combat radiation. It has L-arginine in there and other things that we don't even know. And they've actually found seaweed in areas that were polluted and analyzed it, and it wasn't polluted. So seaweed has a natural protector. And it goes a step further. When the Hiroshima bomb blew up, okay, they actually studied islands that were near that got hit. And the ones that didn't eat seaweed were poisoned by the radiation, and the ones that ate the most seaweed were fine. And it was the same distance. And they said that's the only delineating factor is the ones that are healthy ate seaweed. It protects you from radiation. So again, it's not a big worry. Again, if it's like right there, pull it, hey, the seaweed's from this contaminant, I wouldn't. But you know what's funny is once that's out, they say stay away from seaweed forever. Once this Gulf spills out, stay away from fish forever. It's not a forever thing. We just had a big scare about the E. coli in spinach. It's not forever. We just stay off of it a little bit, but now we're okay with spinach. You know, it's so funny how people linger things on beyond where it needs to be.
Since we talked about, since you mentioned the different islands, it's also got me thinking in those studies, miso.
Miso crazy. Yeah. Again, you know, you're dealing with stuff that's fermented. And when you get to the fermented, that's fine. It's treated better. It's all the stuff is removed. It's just the right source. And, that's why you can also do fermented, sauerkraut. That's really good for the probiotics. So anything that's fermented is really good for you. But when you're dealing with these edamame or these soy bread and soy burgers, I'm telling you, men, if you want to wonder why your testosterone's so low, check and see if your muscle building supplement doesn't have soy in it. Isn't that amazing? You're trying to build muscle mass and get testosterone, and it's depleting your testosterone.
I did, was it 15, 20 years ago? No, I guess it was around 2002, 2003 when a friend of mine said, you've got to try this protein powder thing. It's going to help you with your cycling. And I started to grow man boobs.
Yeah. No, it will.
I couldn't
Definitely
believe it. So talking about really, really briefly, when we talk about stripping things away and synthetic things away as well, vitamin C and ascorbic acid, something that people have been taking, I don't know, I'm going to call it beyond megadoses, hyperdoses, dangers.
Yeah, ascorbic acid people think is vitamin C. That's the man-made synthetic name for vitamin C. It's a synthetic counterfeit. Vitamin C from the orange is not ascorbic acid. Man-made vitamin C is called ascorbic acid. And interesting, I treated the PhD, one of the main chemists that worked at the company is called BASF now, but they were actually over the bridge, and they make vitamin C. And this article came out from Mount Sinai School of Medicine that says vitamin C causes genetic damage to your DNA and offspring. Genetic damage. Meanwhile, I'm taking 3,000 a day, like Linus Pauling said, and how I learned, I'm like, whoa. So he came in, and I'm like, wow, I got to ask you, what's the deal with this, Mr. Vitamin C maker? They're saying that the stuff you're making is destroying our DNA and our, you know what he said? Doesn't surprise me. He said, if you knew the chemicals we use to make ascorbic acid, you wouldn't take it. He says, I won't touch this stuff. I said, what do you mean? He starts telling me, I get a pen, I'm writing this down. Benzene, which is used in gasoline. It's a carcinogen. Acetone, nail polish. Chlorine, Clorox, perchloric acid, which is used in rocket fuels and explosives. The list went on and on and on. This is how it's partly used, and you can Google it. This is actually the ingredients used to make ascorbic acid. But it goes a step further. I wrote an article on it, and a plumber that I work on was in my waiting room. And he came up, he says, wow, this makes sense. I just read your article. I said, what? He says, I'm the plumbing contractor for this company. It was called Takeda, but now it's BASF. It was Takeda. And he says, they had me do titanium pipes. Now I know why, because if these chemicals touch regular pipes, they would have ate a hole in it. This is what we're putting in our body, folks. It's ascorbic acid. Now, vitamin C is great for you from nature, and oranges and goji berries, and you get some in the sweet potatoes. Vitamin C is great, but not this synthetic junk. And that's the key. You want to eat clean, but we weren't born in a lab. I don't think our nutritional products should be. You want to go with whole food nutrition. And so many people get it about our food, but they're popping Centrum. These pills, they don't get it. It's the same thing. You want to eat clean, supplement clean.
Vitamin D, that's a big push, particularly this time of year. Now we're going into less sunshine, so people are doing a bunch of vitamin D. Thoughts?
Vitamin D, again, you want to go with the whole food source, because in my book I show how there's so many chemicals. Do you know who owns all of the major vitamin companies? Big Pharma. Big Pharma. Bayer, Bristol Myers Squibb, Pfizer owns them all. They own the Centrum, they own the Theragram, the one-a-day chewables, the Flintstone. They own them all. And they also use chemicals used to make drugs while they're making these vitamins. And I show that in my book. It's synthetic, it's chemicals. And it's funny how we believe, oh, it's all natural. Same with vitamin D. So you want to go with whole food natural vitamin D. And there's one that I take. It's called Mega Food, and it's the vitamin D supplement. And if you look on the back, you're going to see all kinds of fruits and vegetables and stems. That's what you want to see. Real stuff, real food. It's called Mega Food, and it's the vitamin D that I take every day.
So thank you. From there, real briefly, you were talking about white foods and popcorn earlier. Can you tell us about glutens, whole grains, and rye?
Yeah, gluten is funny because, everybody's anti-gluten, anti-grains. And I remember oatmeal for 30, 40 years. We were told it lowered blood sugar and helps cholesterol. Now, it causes disease, and it increases those things. So I really researched this, and here's my belief. Gluten is an issue for celiac disease. They can't have it. They have an autoimmune response. Then there's a gluten sensitivity. Now, celiac's about 2.4 million in America, And about 6 to 7 million have gluten sensitivity. That means it's a gastrointestinal issue. They eat it, they'll get bloating, they'll get diarrhea. They tend to stay away from it. For 90% of the rest of you, gluten is great. Gluten-containing grains, and science proves it. And in my book, I show how we've been eating and digesting gluten for 3.5 million years, not 10,000 years like they want you to believe. Science has shown forensic evidence that gluten-containing grains in the teeth of cavemen 3.5 million years ago. The University of Utah says 40% of the caveman's diet was gluten-containing grains. And I got one thing I got to share in my book because it's one of my favorite quotes. This is just not said. I want to share once. I have so many studies. Okay, this is May of 2017, last year.
Yep.
British Medical Journal published research conducted by Harvard School of Public Health. They analyzed over 100,000 subjects for 25 years. That's a huge study. They found participants with the highest intake of gluten-containing grains had significantly lower rates of heart disease than those with the lowest consumption of grains. And I have study after study after study after study. And then one book comes out that says, oh, grain brain, it's bad. And we forget all this great science. So my view is this. Yes, those of you listening, you're like, he's crazy. I eat gluten and I get sick. He's crazy. I hate it. Don't blame the food. Blame what's on top of your food, what's around your food, or what you're cooking your food on, because this is wreaking havoc of our colon, and it makes gluten hard to digest. It's the pesticides on the grain that's creating leaky gut that makes it inflamed. We've been digesting gluten for 3.5 million years. How come all of a sudden the last 10, 15 years it's been tough? Remember, it used to be able to eat a pizza 20, 30 years, and it was fine. Our parents never had an issue. Why now? Don't blame the food. It's not wheat. It's not grain. And research shows that grains help lower cholesterol. They help fight diabetes and heart disease. There's so much study on it. One book comes out, scares us away from grain. I don't believe it. I love grain, and it's so important. I think if you're not doing grain because of this fad diet, you're doing a disservice to your body.
And you said rye bread may be the greatest.
Rye bread is great if you want weight loss, because a lot of people saying, oh, I'm worried I got to eat bread and all that. Rye bread, actually, science shows you'll lose weight. Not only that, it makes you fuller for longer. It's like there was a study that 8 hours you remain full if you do rye bread in the morning. So people for 8 hours just don't have that hunger like you would if you eat other kind of bread. Now remember, white bread's no good. If it's white, keep it out of sight. Stay away from the white refined. But if it's a whole grain organic, go for it. It's healthy.
Excellent. Real briefly, talking about losing weight, we're going to wrap things up here in just a sec. You talk about obesogens, things that cause us to gain weight, corn syrup, BPA, pesticides, pharmaceuticals, PFOA like a nonstick cookware, hormones, but you also talk about artificial sweeteners. What's the danger of Splenda and saccharin?
Yeah, it's interesting because people say, oh, it's artificial sweeteners, but here's the word, artificial. Use your little common sense. Artificial, what does that mean? Created in a lab. It's nothing natural about it. It's artificial. That means it's chemicals, and chemicals can have side effects. It's not natural. Now, what kind of side effects? Ready? Weight gain. Weight gain? Wait a minute. I'm drinking this low calorie and artificial sweeteners, no sugar. What do you mean weight gain? Science has proven. There was a University of Texas study that showed you have a 41% increased risk of obesity for every 1 can of diet soft drink you drink containing artificial sweeteners. 41%. Now, do people stop at 1? No, the average person has 5 diet sodas. So there's no science whatsoever that having artificial sweeteners is going to help you lose weight. It makes your brain want more sweets. It makes you crave more carbs. It does the opposite. So you want to go with natural alternatives like monk fruit. Lohan is good. Stevia is fine. You want to go with what's the other one I like? I like the xylitol. I love that. That's from the birch tree. So these are good, and they're sweeter than sugar. And you know what? You're not going to gain weight from it. And they've been linked to Parkinson's disease. That's one of the reasons Michael J. Fox ended up getting Parkinson's at such a young age. He was doing this diet soda, drinking a drink. He became the spokesperson. 29 years of age, nobody gets Parkinson's in their 20s. Parkinson was caused, in his case, because of this chemical that resembles formaldehyde, and that's what it looks like if you look under a microscope under these artificial sweeteners. So to answer your question, it's bad news. Stay away from it. It's an obesogen. It makes you fatter.
Wow. Salt, no salt. It keeps going both directions on this one.
Okay, in my book, I use a common science meets common sense approach. So it's not all about science, because that changes. Common sense. The human body, 70% salt water. We're made out of salt. Without salt, we die. We need salt. We are without salt, we die. You want the right kind of salt. The white, remember, if it's white, keep it out of sight. That's the white processed salt. You want to go with the nice organic salt from nature, like the black Hawaiian volcanic salt has over 80 minerals in there that we need. Himalayan sea salt's fine. I like Redmond ancient sea salt from Utah, loaded with over 80 minerals. And guess what happens when you have salt with 80 minerals? Sodium, potassium, manganese, iron. If you eat all that, your cells get full. They're not as hungry. So you actually lose weight. It helps your heart by having good salt. If you have the white processed salt, it's empty. It makes you hungry. That's why these fast food restaurants salt their food, because they know you're coming back for more fries. Movie theaters know it makes you hungry. They salt the popcorn because they know it makes you crave jujubes and Coke. You're coming back out. Salt makes you hungry if it's the white processed kind. If you use the good kind that's not been filtered out and processed, it makes you full. It makes food taste better. And it's so much science backing. We need salt for survival. It's not bad.
Thank you, thank you, thank you. As we wrap things up, my wife Jessica, she always wants me to ask a question for parents and their kids, or it could even be this time for pregnancy as well. Any words of wisdom for parents or parents in the making?
Yeah, parents, first of all, start cooking and making stuff with your child, because it really gets them to appreciate food at an earlier age. It really shows them the value of food. Either doing the drive-through or buying these TV dinners is not going to do it for their health, but it doesn't make them really appreciate growing vegetables in your garden and cutting them and making it. It's just like an art class for them. It excites them. And you know what? You're planting that seed that's going to grow into a healthy forest, instilling it into your children. So that's the big thing with kids, is we really lost that. It's all about video games and saying, no, it's cook time. Even if it's just on the weekends and you prepare stuff and you stock it in the fridge, have that special time where you're making stuff with your kid, and they really will appreciate it.
Absolutely love it. So where can people go to find your beautiful book, Food Sanity, and to find out more?
Yeah, Food Sanity is available wherever books are sold, or you can also go to foodsanity.com. And I ran out, as you see, it's a pretty thick book. I ran out of room for recipes. So I actually have a compilation companion recipe book that's free. It's a PDF. You can go to foodsanity.com. And of course, this will tell you about what's in there. But then I have recipes, 30 recipes with salt, with sugar, with milk, but the good kind of milk, the good kind of salt, so you can still love food. Just stay away from the white processed chemical stuff.
Out of curiosity, in the beginning we talked about chimps and their teeth for grinding veggies. Anything we can do to help our teeth?
Yeah, again with the teeth, you want to stay away from soda. That's one of the worst things. And actually, the carbonated water is okay, but when you have sweet stuff in there, when you're buying a lot of these carbonate, even if it's low calorie, low sugar, if you're getting stuff with sweeteners in there, that's it does affect the teeth. So that's important as well. And you're doing it with the chlorophyll. Gargle with that. The best for gum and teeth. Get that and swish it out and use that as mouthwash. There's nothing more healthier for gums and teeth.
Awesome. This has been awesome, David. Any last words of wisdom you want to share with people today?
Again, just don't be so trusting. You know, we always believe Big Brother's looking out for us. We think our water company's filtering water. We think if it's in a package at the store, it's been proven to be safe. Don't believe it, folks. People are getting sick. We're fatter than we've ever been. We're sicker than we've ever been. And in most, it's because of what we eat and how it's processed. Play detective. We can eat healthy, but it requires just a little bit of work. Aren't we worth it? Aren't we worth that little bit of work? Yes, it's so easy to just grab and eat. Flip it around, say, I've never heard of that chem. What is that? Google it and say, wow, I'm not eating that. That's the same stuff they make in paint. That's not going in my body. You know, and you know what? Next time you see the word, you'll know not to eat it. But, you know, it's a learning. We really can't. Our great-great-grandparents didn't have to do that. We have to eat like they did. And to do that, we've got to start playing detective.
Woohoo! Thank you so much, David. This has been phenomenal. I think everybody, myself included, we've learned a lot. I want everybody to go out and get Food Sanity so they can begin making some sounder food decisions.
Great. Appreciate it. It was great being here. Great host.
Thank you so much. So for everyone out there, this is Michael Sandler saying, be well, have fun, get Food Sanity, and begin making sound food decisions today, and shine bright. Woohoo! Thank you so much, David.
Oh, great. Yeah, you pull a lot of great stuff out.
So, and you had a lot of great answers.
Yeah, it was great. Like a little lightning round. You covered pretty much everything, I think. You're one of the few to really hit them all. I love it.
Thanks so much for watching. If you enjoyed it, be sure to like below. Also, leave your comments. Have some real fun with it. Subscribe to our channel where you're going to get more great videos, more interviews coming up. And check out our website, inspirenationshow.com. That's where you'll find tips, blogs, information, videos you won't find anywhere else, and useful and helpful resources to really help you kickstart your life and to shine bright. Thanks so much again. Thank you for your support. Like, comment, subscribe. See the website. Thanks so much and have fun. Of course, shine bright. Woohoo!